Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining me, astrologer Patrick Arundell, for your in-depth November horoscope video for the Sun or the Ascendant. Before I begin, I'd like to briefly tell you about my year 2021 personal horoscope special package. This gives you a forecast and a character analysis. But also, if you order now in 2020, I'll give you the rest of this year free. Get 30% off this package based on your time, date and place of birth. It's totally individual to you and will give you searing insights into what you can expect in the months ahead. Please see beneath this video to click on the link to order. Welcome Gemini to your monthly horoscope for November for the Sun or the Ascendant. As we come into this new month, the Sun is in the part of your scope to do with life's practicalities. The 6th house, it's a very Virgo type energy. This is about being a bit more virtuous. So whether it's watching what we eat a little more carefully to make sure that we're maximising our vitamins and minerals and minimising perhaps the more calorific goodies, or it's making our home life run a little more efficiently, or it's getting a fairer share of the domestic chores, or it's finding a way of working which gives us a sense of personal satisfaction, as well as perhaps supporting others or helping others in some way. The 6th house very much about being of service. But of course, we do have that big cluster of energy in Capricorn, your 8th solar house, very intense, especially this year around your longer term resources or where you're deeply invested with someone else, either in an intimate sense or perhaps even in a business. So the other news as we begin this month is your ruler Mercury is in the most playful part of your scope, the 5th house, has been since the 27th of October. But if you cast your mind back to the 14th of October, Mercury went into a retrograde. And then on the 27th, it reversed or inverted back into the previous sign of Libra, where it was joined by Venus. Now, Venus is a lovely planet to have in your 5th house. So as you come into this month, those two are giving you an opportunity to think about being more creative or more playful. And because Mercury is about thinking and the retrograde is there, maybe you're going to be rethinking something that you can convert from a talent where you use your flair or artistry into something more practical and more substantive, which comes through the energy of the Sun. So this is a great start to this month in terms of form and function. Now, because Mercury is retrograde, maybe there has been the odd change of plan, perhaps around a love relationship. Has there been also some miscommunications? It's possible. Mercury going forwards on the 2nd is something that we can all really feel happy about. But on the 11th, Mercury returns to the sign of Scorpio about those practical details. And it won't be until the 19th that it finally ends the whole journey that began on the 27th when it first went into shadow, which is a period that precedes and is after a retrograde when still Mercury is not quite working at its efficient best. So I think it's possible that something around an appointment, around a detail that you may have had to fret a little bit around, that's going to be resolved in a much more pleasing way by the 3rd week of this month. But before then, yes, your ruler Mercury doesn't just end its retrograde in the first 10 days of this month, it's challenged by Saturn. If you have got a creative talent and you're not converting it into something that gives you a sense of financial enrichment, so you don't feel all your hard work is being rewarded, it could prove to be very frustrating. The same could be said in an emotional sense. So if you're invested in a relationship where you're giving it absolutely everything, you're being very sacrificing, you truly love the other person, from the 12th through to the 21st, Venus is clashing with that big 3 in Capricorn. And if there is politics and you're not feeling very fulfilled, I do feel that's going to give you a lot of food for thought. Now, it's also true to say that Mars, the planet of passion, has, since the 9th of September, been in a retrograde. Now that comes to a close on the 14th, so that long period of rewinding, and also seeing Mars the closest to the Earth for about 15 years, being visible with the naked eye, but also in direct conflict with Saturn, Jupiter and Pluto. And I think for you, Mars has been in your sector of the future, your sector of friendships, and perhaps some of your friends have frustrated you because they've not quite held the same principles or values as you, or perhaps they've wanted to dominate or control a situation where you've needed to be more of a free spirit. So I do think the relationship dynamic is going to take some patience to work through this month. However, on the 15th, we do have a glorious new moon. And one of the reasons why it's so glorious is that from the 9th through to the 19th, the Sun is forging a really uplifting link to Jupiter, the planet of growth, and Neptune, the planet of dreams. And if there is a business idea or you make something that you have a passion about, I do feel that your ability to reach people, raise the profile, and receive much more acclaim for what you're doing is significantly enhanced. And because Jupiter and Neptune embrace this new moon, this is going to be an energy that you can take right through to the middle of December. So truly exciting stuff, Gemini. Now, we do have on the 21st, the Sun moving into your opposite sign. But that's absolutely an opportunity. The 7th house in traditional astrology is known as being the sector of open enemies. But I don't want you to be fearful about that. Open enemies are the people we know we need to compete against. So that could be co-workers, it could be people in another organisation. If you work for a big company, it may be another big company. So we kind of know who we need to come up against. It is the sector of competition, but it's also the sector of relating. And that's really exciting for you because this transit of the Sun through Sagittarius is going to include a solar eclipse on the 14th of December. That is absolutely magical and could be wonderful for you and take you into the first 5.5 months of 2021 in really much better spirits when it comes to your contacts and connections to others. But also on the 21st, after being checked in quite a tough way for much of the month, well, Venus moves into the sign of Scorpio. Now, for sure, this is a more practical area, but it's also about a little bit more sacrifice. So I think what it's saying to you, the Sun's saying, look, this is a great time to be relating more skillfully. Number one thing is listening more carefully to what others say, for all of us, giving people the space to express their ideas and their selves, and then listening, and not just listening, actually trying to comprehend where they're coming from. There's so much information going around these days. We're all very busy, but do we sometimes get that stillness to just allow others to be themselves with us? That is something I think you can gain in the last 10 days of this month. Now on the 29th, Neptune ends a retrograde which began on the 23rd of June. And if there has been a degree of confusion around your worldly goals, your work or a job, it really wouldn't be a surprise with the backdrop of COVID. Let's be honest about it. But Neptune has been retrograde there, but still forging a very positive link with Jupiter. So I think even if there has been some kind of uncertainty or a change, it's been pushing you to think about how you can do something differently, particularly if you're a creative person and you're wanting to bring into your situation a new type of income stream or a different way of living your life. Now the 30th sees an annular lunar eclipse in your sign. Now I'm going to say to you 1984. Why would I mention that year? Well, that was the last time this eclipse series was activated, and it was in your sign on the 30th of May, but it was a solar eclipse. And that solar eclipse is very much about communication. And if you think back to that time, look how communications have changed. Absolutely beyond belief, the way we interact with one another. This one's a bit more challenging. It says to you that if there is a relationship in your world that isn't working very well, you need to think about it very carefully in the following 2 weeks. I will, of course, do a full a full in-depth video for this at the time. But I think for you personally, it's kind of saying to you, set out your stall, reinforce your boundaries. This is the sun in the 7th house. It's not only about being a people pleaser and being collaborative and cooperative, all tick, 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 great qualities. It's not just about being a listener, tick, or a comprehender, tick. It's also making sure you get what you want from the equation too. So the eclipse is just saying, push back a bit if someone isn't really appreciating your level of sacrifice, especially with Venus in the 6th house, and just make them a little bit more aware in an assertive way of what you need. And with Mars now moving forwards and set to forge an amazing trine to that solar eclipse on the 14th of December, and is going to be in a very dynamic location for you right through to the 6th of January 2021, I do feel that you can really start to feel a sense of momentum picking up as this month draws to a close. But for now, Gemini, stay safe, take care, good luck, and goodbye.